So today we're going to take a look at Paper Rex versus Boom on Fracture, and we're going to take a look at it because they played solo Harbor. And for those of you who've been watching me pretty closely, you might know that I actually called. I could see Paper Rex playing Fracture with solo Harbor as their controller because they used to play solo Viper in this very aggressive style. I mean, they're also playing, Rainer and Phoenix. I'm not sure how serious that is. So they might just be testing Harbor out, but I'm not surprised that they are, testing out Harbor on this map because I could legitimately see them playing Harbor, and this is actually before the Harbor buff as well, so they're actually on their old patch as well. This is even with worse Harbor, you might say. And, well, the reason that I think Harbor makes sense for a team like Paper Rex is because if they were already playing solo Viper, well, it just makes sense because they like to play double duelist as well, right? They like to go for this double duelist chamber, one initiator, one controller, and they were playing Viper before, and I just think that Harbor kind of suits what they're doing a little better. So they're on the defensive side, and they are going to destroy in this game, by the way. But let's take a look at what they were doing. So the first thing they're going to do is you see that we've got Mindfreak here playing on the Harbor, and he's playing in this angle here, and what he's going to do straight away, and this is something that they did, not in every round, but a lot of them, is put a wall across here, right? Separate the attackers who are down here from being able to see. It gives, puts a bit of pressure on the defenders because obviously someone could sneak under this as well, right? Could create some pressure. They could come in behind the box if they want. They obviously could just hold the stairs still if they wanted, or they could come underneath, which, can even cause problems for people up there as well. And that's the general idea. Obviously, we can see in this round, Boom aren't quite there, but we're going to see some other Harbor uses. As you see, the wall just goes across just there from Mindfreak, but actually you can see that Boom are coming fast, actually towards the kind of the dish side. And, well, Benkai manages to get one kill, but then is traded, and it's actually the second round, so they only have pistols here do Boom. But what's going to happen is you see now we've got Mindfreak just in here, and he's going to send out this cascade, okay? So he sends out that wall just there, and you see straight away the reaction is Jing, both Jing and Forsaken send a Phoenix flash, send a Rainer flash, and just come and attack these Boom players, right? And we've got that cascade there as well, so they managed to get that one kill. The cascade is stopped just there, and obviously the point of this cascade is that it's going to separate these players from the breach, and that is exactly what happens here. These players can now not trade off the breach, and so, Forsaken and Jing just carry on. They manage to get that kill, and the trades are a little bit late. They have to come through the slow as well, and actually Mindfreak is the one who, kind of finishes it off. And I think that this is a great example of why I thought that, Harbor kind of fits what they're doing more than Viper was in the kind of their old comps. Paper Rex are, of course, going to play this very, very aggressive style, and everyone says about Harbor, his main weakness is he can't really stall on defense. Well, Paper Rex aren't going to try and stall on defense because they're just going to run at you, right? So I think that Harbor just suits that a bit better, right? With this kind of cascade and sectioning off people like that, with the kind of mind games of these walls and, faking aggression, you might say as well. It just kind of fits more what they are doing overall. And now let's come to the very next round where we're going to see much of the same thing. We're going to see again Mindfreak here on the Harbor put up this early wall, to create some confusion. As we see again, it's not really going to matter because Boom in this round are going to just come for a fast A hit. But what you're going to see again is that cascade just come in and separate these players when they try and come in towards sand, as you will see. So as we play this forward, you can see here it's going to be a pretty fast A hit from Boom, and they're going to try and come in. Early Neon Stun there, Rainer Flash comes in just there, but then these players start to come through the door, right? They come through into Sands. They send this flash in just here as well. They do try to get in onto the site, and they do actually get through the door here, the Neon and the Chamber, but then we're going to get the Cascade coming at them again, right? And that, you see the instant reaction of these players, right? They just like tucked in a bit there, right? Just to kind of like avoid and kind of, it just gives these players again this space. And I do think that the Cascade actually is probably Harbor's best utility. I do think it is the most useful ability. And you're going to see here that, again, it just sections off these players, right? The wall goes past them. It allows Jing to come and try and retake this space. And now you've got this crossfire. You can see that Jing is obviously there as well, but also you've got Mindfreak here, and Benkai is on the way as well to just, basically destroy these players. As you will see, they're taken by surprise. They managed to get that first kill there. Here's Mindfreak taking that second one, and you can see that these other players, right, aren't ready to trade because of the cascade as well. So they get that kill, and then by the time they're coming through, they've been caught by the Prowler as well. And we managed to get 2 more kills, and then all of a sudden we are in a 5v1. this is going to get a little bit close for a 5v1, right? Paper Rex obviously on this save. They find where he is, but it's some nice shooting here. We end up in a 3v1, but now the trolling stops. You end up in a 3v1. Now Paper Rex just decide, okay, well, we're just going to sit here together, just in a line, making sure that there's no way you can really get past. High-low just there, and Forsaken and Jing clean it up pretty nicely, and they win the round. Now we need to come to round number 8, and again what we're going to see is, some more aggression in general. As you can see, looks like we want to go for a north side pinch here, but as you can see for Boom, they're coming on the other side of the map. So what we're going to have here is a retake scenario, and this is, the scenario that I think obviously Harbor will probably be best for. And again, this is why I think Harbor suits this map, because you're going to see in pro play a lot of, north side pinch or a south side pinch, right? And if the opponent is just on the other side, you're probably just going to have to play for that retake. But that's where Harbor, is pretty useful. And here we get the first use of this cascade. Obviously, with the new Harbor, you would then have a second use for the retake, which I think is why that it was a very good change and a very good buff for Harbor. Like, it's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a start, and I think it's a good start. So they send the cascade in here. Obviously, we can see no one's really there. Boom, come in. They manage to take the site just here. And eventually, actually, Forsaken falls on the site, and they lose the first kill. So we end up in this 4v5 retake. And what we're going to see as Paper X start to come in is they are going to go for this retake after the smokes fall. You've got MyFreak just here on the Harbor. Having seen the fade, he's going to send in his wall across the site, as you will see just in a second. And then they are going to manage to win this retake. So he sends in the wall just here. And this is a crucial thing, I think, that's important about Harbor. And the devs actually mentioned this themselves, is that this ability, right, the wall, is probably like the highest skill, like level ability in the game in terms of like, if you really master this thing, and it will probably take, a while to get really good at how to use it and where to use it and where all the best little spots are and whatnot. It will probably take a little while, but once people have really mastered this wall and figured out, because the creativity is off the charts, right? You can do so many different things for every different situation. And so if you really do become a master at using this ability, the potential is there for it to become, a very strong ability. In this instance, basically MyFreak is just going to put it across there to, be a pretty normal smoke, you might say. But I'd be interested to see, as we go further forward, months in advance, what people can do. They start to come in for this retake, and they're going to manage to find these kills, holding angles for each other pretty well. A breachel actually comes in from Boom. They managed to avoid it pretty well. Benkai is going to go pretty big just in here. And you see they send the cove out as well, right? They know that this breachel just came from down here, right? So they send in the cove just here. You're going to see that that's going to help them as well with this retake, as you will see. Benkai continues to go pretty big with that nice little headshot there. They know that the breach is there, right? He's now struggling to deal with this cove, has to, expend those bullets. They now know where he is. And, well, MyFreak does really well, gets it to just half, and he plays this perfectly, MyFreak. He gets it to just half, manages to find the kill just in time, and gets the defuse with 0.41 seconds left. Very well played by MyFreak there, and they win the round. Now let's come to the attacking side, and there's a couple things I want to point out in this round. We'll start off actually not on Harbor, but with Devi. So Paper X are just going to go for an A hit here through A main, as you will see. A smoke actually comes down here from Boom, but they're going to send a Fade Haunt in just towards A main, just there. And actually Boom are going to come and push towards Devi here. But there's something very, very important. And I see players of all levels, and I've mentioned this multiple times, but even the truly, best players I've seen make this mistake over and over and over again, right? Which is, if you are on your own, and you are playing, on your own on one side, and your job is just basically to lock down, an area and make sure to see if basically if they are pushing, it is no good having your, and Chambers is particularly guilty of this, right? It's no good having your TP set up like this, right? This isn't going to help you, right? Even if Boom came pushing here, because often what you'll see in pro games is they're coming from the other side as well. So you TP there, and then you just die. And this happens a lot in pro games. And the tip is, always play by the rope. Your chamber TP is not your escape. The rope is your escape, right? And so Devi here, you see, he's actually got the trap on the other side of the map. So he doesn't even have that to help him as well. He's going to play this perfectly because he understands the rope is his escape, not his chamber TPs, right? He hasn't even put them down. They're not on the map. He hasn't put them down because he knows they aren't going to help me in this situation. If they come pushing this north side of the map, those rendezvous are useless because I'm just going to teleport probably into the back of someone else and I'm going to die. The rope is your escape. So he plays this perfectly, manages to get not one, but two, takes a quick look around, is there anyone else? Hops on the rope, off he goes. This is how it should be done. Now, the other thing I want to mention is the harbor wall that they're going to use here. Because they decided to go for this wall, Paper X, which is, perhaps a more shallow wall, right? You're not really getting too much control from the harbor in this instance. But the thing is with harbor, and I think, again, this is like one specific advantage harbor might have on Fracture specifically, is of course for the other smokers now, because of the change to Fracture, where there is this kind of, little area here, right? This little vent area you can now kind of walk across on. Harbor is the only agent in the game that can kind of properly smoke this site. Where Harbor Wall now can go across this, right? Come and turn over there and come and turn there and, smoke off all of the kind of crucial areas, you might say, to get this properly smoked. Where, of course, with any like brim or whatever, of course, you're going to smoke here, but someone, still could be over here, right? And not be properly smoked. So Harbor does have like that advantage again of Fracture, which is why I said, I think Harbor's best map will probably Fracture, in my opinion. He kind of suits how the map's played. He, has a site that he can kind of uniquely smoke that others can't properly. And so it's interesting, they went kind of, against using that wall. They didn't quite use that wall how I perhaps expected, but, they just went for a more passive wall, maybe because it's a pistol round, right? And, they aren't feeling too much pressure and whatnot. But then they actually use the cove there as well, right? So they've just put the cove in here as well. And the cove is obviously a very good ability, I think, on a pistol round, right? And it just creates this illusion of, basically a chance for Paper Rex to get out, but they're Paper Rex, so they don't actually want to get out. They just want to fight it, really, because they're in a 5v3 and they just believe that they're going to win it, and guess what happens? They will. But yeah, you see that they put the cove up as a, like, oh, we could escape. Actually, they don't want to escape because they'd rather just kill you first, and that is exactly what Jing does. And then let's come to the final round, because this would finish 13-1 to Paper Rex, and they're actually going to do just much the same here, right? But they're going to come back towards a main. Benkai's going to throw this little Fade Horn just in here, and well, as this Neon is just backing up there to go and see, you see that Jing and Forsaken come across, right? And then a jump peek comes in. Now, I want you to watch my freaking Benkai here, because I think what Paper Rex did here is they figured out these two have beaten the timing. Right, they've beaten the timing of this jump peak. Now this Neon, they haven't seen the Neon, so the Neon hasn't seen them. And so they are just going to walk, kind of close to the wall because this Neon has not seen them. And I think, I've been asked, multiple times, like, what's the difference between, like, the very, very best teams and, like, those like, tier 2 teams or whatnot, right? Like, what is the difference between them? Because you see tier 2 teams and, they've got a ton of skill, they've got the ideas. It often looks very similar to a normal, tier 1 game, in terms of visual, how it looks, it's not too different in general, but I think it is little moments like this, right? Paper Rex are going to recognize an opportunity here, right? These two have beaten the timing, so my freaking Benkai here, they are not going to come past this wall so that this Neon could see them, because they want this Neon to think, oh, we're not in A main, right? We threw a Fate Haunt, we're going to the other side of the map. Keep jump peeking it, don't worry about it, right? That's what Paper Rex want this Neon to think, and so Forsaken and Jing here, they're just going to walk slowly where this Neon can't see them, right? You see my freaking Benkai, they actually back away in a way and just wait, essentially. The reload sound comes in as well, and they just take his head off, right? And I think that is one of kind of the crucial differences, is noticing those very small moments where there's an opportunity, right? With good communication, understanding the situation. Paper X give us a good example of that there. And then they're just kind of blitz in. They do that same wall that they were doing before with Harbor. That's kind of that more shallow wall. Jing actually flashes himself and doesn't manage to get that kill. Forsaken steals it from him. Steals another one, and then, it's going to die here. But we get this little cascade that's going to come in here and just block off the vision there as well. Give them a bit more space on site. Again, and I think that this is just another example of that second cascade. I think is a very good change, because it will just allow you to kind of get a bit more out of the agent in general. We end up in this 2v1 after we see a nice aftershock there as well from Boom. But now something pretty funny is going to happen as well, because you watch Devi here, and knowing Devi, what he's going to do is just going to hold this angle, right? And he's going to see Famous there. He doesn't shoot him straight away. And I think at this point, knowing Devi, he's thinking, can I knife him? Right? And I think overall, he's not going to knife him. I think he just thinks like, he's a bit too far away. Jing might be in trouble if I try and knife him. But the thought is definitely there, right? Because he doesn't shoot him straight away. He waits quite a while. But eventually he does stream and manages to win the round and win the game for Paper Rex, who were playing Harbor and won 13-1. Obviously, they are just better than their opponent in this instance, as they will be for many teams that they play. But I think the Harbor, I wouldn't be surprised if going forward, you know, that they did eventually end up playing Harbor solo on Fracture to replace that Viper, because I think it just kind of fits what they're doing a little more, and there's a bit more opportunity there for specifically Paper Rex and how they want to play.